Hi, I'm Judy Rice, and I'm with Corporate EAP. This presentation will assist you in developing a healthier lifestyle. As you exercise and pay attention to your nutritional needs, it will be important to be aware of your thoughts and your approach to the changes that you're making. Our staff at Corporate EAP would like to assist you in increasing your understanding of how our thoughts influence our feelings and behaviors. Healthy eating can be a path to weight loss, disease prevention, and an overall healthier lifestyle. We encourage you to consider this a lifestyle change rather than a behavior change or even a diet. Behavior changes can be regarded as temporary. A diet, likewise, gives the impression that I'm going to change how I eat for a period of time and then it's over. After that, I'll return to the old habits. Both can be seen as being more short-term. A lifestyle change is just that. It's a change that impacts your life, a new perspective, a new way of eating. It may seem awkward or uncomfortable at first, but after a while, it just becomes natural. Many factors influence our eating. We often eat or drink because something triggers our desire for food, and these are called cues. Some are positive, as they lead to healthy behaviors, such as at 8 o'clock every Saturday morning, I head to the gym. Some are a problem and lead us to overeat or to be underactive. I get home in the evening and I just want to veg out with my favorite snack on the couch. What makes us eat? Well, obviously hunger, or it could be seeing someone else eat. Could be the sight or the smell of food, or the activities that we engage in, like when I watch a movie or a television show, I may want something to eat. The problem here is that I don't realize how much I'm eating because I'm distracted by the show. Sometimes it's how we're feeling that causes us to eat, and we call this emotional eating. We want to eliminate the negative cues, such as snacking while reading the newspaper, whether I'm hungry or not. And we want to eliminate the emotional eating. The first step is to be aware of our own cues. We can't change them if we don't recognize them. So think about the cues in your life, times that you may eat when you're not hungry. The first step is to write them down and label them as positive or negative. I go to a movie and I always buy popcorn or candy, would be a negative cue. I walk by the food court at the mall and I smell the pizza, so I have to have some, another negative cue. Or my family members are eating ice cream, so I'm going to have some too, another negative cue. I walk my dog every evening and get lots of exercise would be a positive cue. So let's think about how to change the negative cues. We can change these behaviors, but we need to be intentional. The second step is to change the environment and/or our behavior. Buy healthy snacks so that you can eliminate the ice cream and chips. Take a healthy snack with you when you leave home. If you snack while working, be intentional about keeping healthy snacks in your desk or your workstation. If you can't drive past the bagel shop without stopping, take a different route. Make a shopping list and stick to it. Avoid the aisles in the grocery store that have foods that tempt you. At a party, don't stand by the food table, or if possible, gravitate to people that don't have their plates piled high with food, and then you might not be so tempted to go back to the food table. Don't eat while watching TV. If you need something to do with your hands, work a puzzle, do a craft, or use that time to fold the laundry or some other household chore. Walk past the snack bar when you get to the movie theater. Some changes you may only need to make temporarily, such as removing all the candy dishes from the house, or I knew one person that asked her spouse to take his snacks, keep them in the car, so that she wouldn't be tempted to eat them when he wasn't at home. As you're successful, your motivation may increase and your habits and temptations may decrease, And then you may not have to do all of these strategies that you need to do in the beginning. So ask yourself, what problem food cue do I need to remove? What will I need to do to make sure I remove it? And what problems might arise? What will I do to solve them? What are some activities I can do that are incompatible with or could replace eating? So let's take a look at those. What problem food cue do I need to remove? Well, I eat chips or cookies every time I watch TV. So what will I need to do to make sure I remove it? First of all, I need to be aware of the cue and do something else instead. So substitute another behavior. What problems might arise? Well, and what will I do to solve them? My friends might come over and bring a lot of snacks with them that tempt me. I need to have a healthy snack on hand and also have some healthy beverages. What are some activities I can do that are incompatible with eating? Well, puzzles, crafts, household chores, some other project. I might even go out and take a walk. Eventually, I may not need to keep myself busy with something else. Somehow just realizing the desire to eat is not out of hunger may be enough. As you work to make changes, you might find that you do fall back on old habits. And then it may just spiral out of control. You go to a party, you can't resist all the goodies, so you overeat. You eat one slice of cake, you figure you've blown it anyways, so you may as well eat more. Then the guilt sets in, and the negative self-statements like, I have totally blown this, I am never going to lose weight, or I can't do this. I'm always going to fail at this, or I'll never stop eating large amounts of food. Don't allow the guilt to drag you down. This was one time. We call this the abstinence violation effect, because we think that to be successful, we can't make any mistakes. If we blow it once, it is all over. We failed. We call that all or nothing thinking. Be aware that these times may happen. In fact, they may be inevitable. But like falling off your bike, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back on the bike. Your goal is to make a lifelong change. What can you learn from these times? Well, you may learn that going out to eat is problematic for you, or that you eat when you're stressed or bored. So how can you avoid this in the future? Come up with a plan ahead of time in case you are presented with a similar situation. And I'll say more about this later. Sometimes we make mental mistakes that make losing weight even more difficult. We confuse inability and unwillingness, and we'll say things like, I can't eat just one. Well, is that inability or is that just being unwilling? Are we unable to stop or are we unwilling to stop? The same thing happens when we can't say no to something. Another mental mistake is force versus choice. I hate that I have to lose weight. Am I being forced to do that or am I choosing to do that? We lose sight of the fact that we have weight loss goals that we ourselves have set. This is something that we have chosen. It's important to focus on the positive changes you've made and realize that you can get back on track. I've mentioned earlier that sometimes we eat when we're not hungry as a result of feelings that we're having. So to address this emotional eating, we need to address our thinking, namely the automatic thoughts that we may not even be aware that we're having. Something happens, an event occurs, and we're very much aware of our feelings. We're going to be late for work, the dog ran away, there was some conflict at home. We're aware of the feelings, but what we may not realize is that those feelings are the result of the thoughts that we had about what happened. Ultimately, it's the thoughts that lead to the feelings, which then drive the behavior. For example, my supervisor tells me he wants to speak with me before I leave for the day. I'm feeling anxious and annoyed. So I just stop by the snack machine and I buy 2 candy bars that I quickly eat, even though I've just had lunch. Talk about emotional eating. Those feelings of anxiety and annoyance were the result of the thoughts I had. I wonder what he wants to see me about. What if I've done something wrong? Or what if they're going to cut back on my hours? And why does he always seem to pick on me anyway? The thoughts came first, which brought about the feelings, which led to the choice to eat the candy. For many of us, when situations occur, our automatic thoughts are negative, and they greatly impact our behaviors in many areas of our lives. It's important to recognize negative thoughts as they occur and learn how to dispute them. Cognitive distortions or irrational beliefs are thoughts that we have, particularly when we're feeling bad. So I'd like to give you several different types of distortions or irrational beliefs that we may have. The first one is all or nothing thinking, and we mentioned this before. This is when we look at things in very absolute black and white categories. Everything's either right or wrong. Winning is the only thing. Or it was that example when we talked about I ate a piece of cake, I blew my diet, so I may as well go ahead and eat more cake or eat the whole cake because I've blown it anyway. It's that all or nothing thinking. We can't just say, I had 1 piece of cake, I'm going to move on from here and just have some fruit. We think we've blown it. All or nothing. The second type of cognitive distortion is overgeneralization. We view a negative event as this never-ending pattern of defeat. This always happens. Things never go my way. It could be something as simple as needing to wait for a table in a restaurant or not being able to find a parking place. Something small becomes something major, the proverbial mountain out of a molehill, when we overgeneralize. The third type is a mental filter where we dwell on the negatives and we ignore the positives. I can receive 10 positive comments on something that I've done, but I remain focused on that single negative comment. I may have several successful days of following my nutrition plan or my exercise plan, but I focus on that one day or that one time I didn't, and I get really discouraged. So it's the filter with which I look at events that occur. Number 4 is discounting the positives. You insist that your accomplishments or your positive qualities don't really count. My ability to do this isn't all that great, or look at what my coworker is able to accomplish. And so I discount the positive things. The 5th one is jumping to conclusions. I go ahead and conclude that things are bad without any definite evidence. And there are 2 types. One is mind reading. I assume that people are reacting negatively to me. My friend's going to think I'm rude if I don't eat any of her cake. Or I walk in and people are laughing or talking and I think it's about me, as if I'm reading their minds. The second type is fortune telling. I predict that things are going to turn out really badly. I am not even going to try these new recipes because I know that my family won't like them. What is the point? Why should I try this weight loss plan? I'm just going to put the weight back on later anyway. We're fortune telling, as if we can know the future. And then we don't give things a chance. The 6th type of cognitive distortion is magnification or minimization. I either blow things way out of proportion or I shrink their importance. So something that may have little importance suddenly becomes extremely important, or something that is significant becomes overlooked or devalued as a way of coping with the stress or the aggravation. Someone may tell you their feelings about an event that occurred, and then you minimize it or say it's really not all that important so that you don't have to deal with it, or it's not stressful, or you want to reassure them, and somehow we've minimized the importance. Likewise, we can magnify the importance. It's that mountain out of a molehill. The seventh type is emotional reasoning. You reason from how you feel. I feel like an idiot, so I must be one. I feel overwhelmed. I'll never catch up. And so I reason with my feelings, and I begin to act on the feelings, even though the thought that drove that feeling may be distorted or stinking thinking. The eighth type are should statements. You criticize yourself or other people with shoulds, shouldn'ts, must, oughts, or have tos. You know, I really should have done this, or he ought to have done this, or we have to do this. And we begin to get this distorted thinking full of shoulds and always and musts and oughts. Another type of distorted thinking is labeling. Instead of saying, I made a mistake, you tell yourself, you know, I'm a real jerk. I'm a loser. We begin to label. If I give in, it's my fault because I'm weak. And finally, the 10th type of distortion is personalization or blame. You blame yourself for something that you weren't entirely responsible for. You personalize it. Or you blame other people and overlook ways that perhaps you contributed to a problem. We personalize it or we blame. And there are more. There are self-defeating beliefs that also trigger us to have feelings that lead to behaviors that will not promote a healthy lifestyle. There are a couple of types of perfectionism, and the first one is emotional. When we think, I should always feel happy, I always need to be confident, I always need to be in control of my feelings or my emotions, and it's not okay to feel angry. I have to be perfect in my feelings. I shouldn't have felt that way, and there's one of those should statements that's distorted. So the first type of self-defeating belief is that emotional perfectionism. A second type is what we call emotophobia, where we get a little bit afraid of some of the feelings that we have because I should never feel angry or anxious or inadequate or jealous, or it's not okay to feel vulnerable, which is tied into that thinking that I have to be perfect in how I'm feeling. The third type of self-defeating belief is to actually have a phobia of conflicts or not want to engage in conversations that may have conflict. People who love each other shouldn't fight. Well, sometimes conflict is not about fighting, but simply resolving differences, and we can learn a lot more about the other person or learn more about ourselves, but we think that we need to avoid conflicts. The fourth type of self-defeating belief is entitlement. People should be the way I expect them to be. I get upset when people don't meet my expectations. I often feel entitled to better treatment from others. You know, other people are usually to blame if there are problems in our relationship. It certainly couldn't have been anything that I did. Another type is low frustration tolerance. Whenever we're trying to reach a goal and something gets in the way of that goal, whether it's getting to work on time or following my weight loss plan, I may become frustrated if something gets in the way of the goal. And then I think, I should never be frustrated. Life should always be easy. I shouldn't have to wait in the checkout line, or I shouldn't have to wait in traffic. And so we become frustrated, and we have this low tolerance for frustration because we think life should be a lot easier than this. And we don't stop to think that frustration is just a part of the everyday experience. The next type of self-defeating belief is a type of perfectionism with performance. I must never fail or make a mistake. People are going to think less of me if I do make a mistake. They're going to be critical of me. I always have to be perfect in what I do. The next type also has to do with perfectionism, where we think that people are not going to love and accept us if we're flawed or vulnerable. And so we may not truly share feelings because we think we have to be perfect. And if we're not, people aren't going to like us. The next is a fear of failure, that somehow my worthwhileness depends on my achievements or my intelligence or my attractiveness. We tell ourselves that people who are high achievers are better people. I'm not going to make the team, or I won't pass the exam, or I'm not going to get the job, so I may as well not even try, because it's not okay to fail. Or the next self-defeating belief is this fear of criticism or fear of disapproval. We think that we need everybody's approval to be worthwhile as a person. I can't speak up and present my idea. It's too risky. They might not like it. They might not approve of my idea, and therefore they're not going to approve of me. The last self-defeating belief is a fear of rejection or a fear of being alone. We tell ourselves, if I'm alone, then I'm going to feel miserable, and I'm not going to feel fulfilled. I have to always have someone with me, because if I'm not loved, then life's not worth living. And so we fear being alone, or we fear rejection. We've talked about cognitive distortions and self-defeating beliefs. Our thoughts impact our feelings, which then affect our behavior choices. So if our thoughts are distorted or self-defeating, it will make it difficult to maintain success in changing lifestyle choices. Many of us are emotional eaters. We eat when we're bored, when we're anxious or sad, or we're frustrated. To further explore if this applies to you, you could complete a daily mood log. You'll need 3 columns on a sheet of paper, and in the first column, describe the upsetting event. What happened? Who was involved? Where did it happen? Let's say I ate a lot of pizza with my friends. That was my upsetting event. In the second column, list the feelings that you had. I was frustrated. I was angry with myself. I was angry at something that had happened before eating the pizza. I was stressed and discouraged. I felt disappointed and inadequate. In the third column, record the negative thoughts. I've already recorded the feelings. Now I want to focus in on the thoughts. What I was thinking before I ate the pizza was that I'd had a really rough day. I had been very stressed out, and I decided I deserved to eat whatever I wanted. It had been a bad day. Now let's go back and determine whether or not those thoughts were distorted or self-defeating from the list that we've talked about. If they are, one way to overcome that is to substitute more realistic thoughts. So let's look at some examples of thoughts. I'm never going to lose weight. Well, that's an example of that all or nothing thinking, of overgeneralizing, and fortune telling. So let's substitute a different thought instead. I will reach my weight loss goal. Sometimes I may blow it. I may eat that piece of cake or piece of pizza, but I can persevere as I focus on my goal. Another thought may be, I am such an idiot. Well, that's an example of labeling, or that emotional reasoning where we reason with our feelings. Another thought could be that's more positive, just because I regret what I ate doesn't mean I'm an idiot. Another example of a negative thought that I might have had was, I can never resist the things that I love to eat. Well, I've magnified that way out of proportion and I've personalized it. So I could substitute a positive thought of, I've resisted things in the past that I like. I can do it again. I can do this. It may just take some effort. Or I may be thinking, my friends know my weakness is pizza. Why'd they order this pizza? Well, there's that all or nothing thinking where I either have to eat it or I don't. And there's blame. I'm blaming my friends. Well, my friends may not realize how difficult this is for me. I'm responsible for my own behaviors. So let's go back and review. If you're going to keep one of these mood logs, the first column, you will identify the upsetting event. In the second column, you'll identify the emotional responses or the feelings that you had. In the third column, you want to identify the thoughts that were running through your mind at the time of the event. You can also identify the types of distortions within those negative thoughts. Lastly, then you want to develop positive thoughts that are more rational and realistic to replace the negative thoughts. If you believe the positive thought, you can no longer believe the negative thought. You may be surprised to learn how often that you eat in response to an upsetting situation when you're not hungry. How do we come up with more rational or realistic thinking to replace the old irrational thoughts? Well, one way we've already done is to identify the opposite of the negative thought. Identify the more realistic, rational thought, and develop a statement or question that disputes the negative one. Here are a few tools developed by Dr. David Burns to assist you in disputing your negative beliefs. The first is a straightforward approach. You simply identify a more positive and realistic thought. Yes, I have had a hard day at work, but I really like what I do, and not every day is this stressful. I don't have to get all of this completed today. I'm going to slow down, and I'm going to do as much as I can. Or, I do miss my parents at this time of year, but I have many other family members and friends who will help me celebrate. Can you see how keeping the negative thought may lead you then to eat as a result of the emotions that you have, but substituting the more positive thought will keep you from doing that emotional eating and keep you on the track to a healthier lifestyle. Let's look at another way of disputing those negative thoughts. We call this the double standard. What if a close friend was experiencing the same problem that you were having? And what if your friend was having these same thoughts? What would you tell him, or what would you tell her? Tell yourself the same thing. You would probably dispute the negative thought for your friend. So whatever you would tell your friend, tell yourself the same thing. I really don't think he meant to hurt you. I don't think he meant to ignore you. I think he's just busy right now. That's a lot more realistic. Or, you're a really bright person. Look how you managed to balance your work and your family for so long. You can do this. What you would say to your friend or what your friend would say to you, say to yourself. Another way to dispute your negative beliefs: examine the evidence. Instead of assuming a negative thought is true, look for the evidence. Where's the evidence to support this thought I had? I know it seemed like everyone was blaming me, but actually, nobody said anything. They were talking about something else. There wasn't any evidence for it. Well, where's the evidence that I'm lazy? I am not lazy. Look how many projects I've completed in the past month. Finally, another way that you could combat those negative thoughts is to do a cost-benefit analysis. This is simply a pro and con type of approach. We can evaluate the actual benefits and the actual disadvantages of holding on to these beliefs and thoughts that we have. So list the thought or belief that you want to change. Let's say it's, I must always be perfect. What are the advantages of believing this? Here are the pros. Well, if I think I always have to be perfect, I'll make healthy choices. I'll lose lots of weight because I'll be perfect. People won't criticize me. It will mean I'm special because only special people have to be perfect. Are there disadvantages to thinking I need to be perfect? Well, when I fail at something or make a mistake, I'll get really upset. It's going to make it harder to learn from my mistakes. I may never feel satisfied. I'll always be trying to earn my self-esteem. So for all of our thoughts, there are pros, there are cons in thinking that thought. This cost-benefit analysis can work for any thought, feeling, and behavior that you would like to change. We can use this to evaluate the advantages and the disadvantages of a self-defeating belief or cognitive distortion. It can make us aware of hidden motivations that keep us stuck in a bad mood. We've talked a lot about our thinking, but this approach is not new. There is an ancient Greek philosopher, Epictetus, who said people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. This means that our thoughts, not the actual events, create our moods. As you work on changing old habits, it may be helpful to develop a plan for handling situations that may create difficulty for you, like going out to eat or eating at a relative's house. In these situations, you're responding to those cues that we talked about earlier. So think about how you might manage them. Develop a plan ahead of time and then follow through with the plan. So let's say you're going to eat with friends. You're going out to a restaurant. Look for salads and the light fare on the menu. Order fruit or coffee if other people are ordering desserts. Eat some almonds or another healthy snack ahead of time before you even go to the restaurant so that you're not so hungry when you place your order. If you're at an event with a social and appetizer hour, keep your hands busy with a beverage. And watch the alcohol because it can lower willpower and it may increase your appetite. Let's say you're being offered problem foods or you're feeling pressured to eat problem foods and you want to develop a plan for that. Well, one solution would be that you fill your own plate and take smaller portions. You're still going to sample what someone is serving, but you're just taking a smaller portion. You may need to gently refuse one of the dishes, particularly the dessert, the pie and the ice cream, and maybe they have some fruit that you could ask for fruit instead. If you are going to indulge in a piece of the dessert, just ask for a half of the slice of the pie or the cake. Another strategy that's been helpful for many people, in addition to having a plan and looking at distorted beliefs, is to have a support system. We want to have people around us who offer assistance and offer support. Ask them to support you in this weight loss plan. Be very specific in telling them how they can help. Let's think of ways that other people could help us be more active or stick to this plan. Maybe we could ask them to go with us in doing physical activities, like taking a walk or riding a bike. Plan your social events with your friends around being active. Another strategy to keep in mind as you make your lifestyle changes is that it's very helpful to have people be a support system. So think of the people in your life who will be your support network and get their assistance. Ask them to support you in your weight loss and lifestyle change plan. Be very specific in telling them how they can help. For instance, maybe they could go for a walk with you or do other physical activities. Plan your social events around being active. You might tell them, when my exercise plan conflicts with your schedule, maybe we can compromise. It's really important to me that I be able to stick to this plan. It's important to me that you praise me. Give me a little bit of positive reinforcement when I do my planned activity. And don't rub my nose in it if I don't. There will be days I may not. Maybe you have a friend that could babysit for you so you can go out and take a walk or ride your bike. Perhaps you want to set up a regular time to do some sort of activity together. Encourage me. If I'm hesitant about whether or not I should go work out or take that walk, encourage me to go do it. There are ways that others can help us eat in a healthy way. It's important to me that I follow these goals that I have. And so when I'm coming over, could we focus on low-fat or low-calorie foods for our meals? When I'm nearby, at least initially, it would really help if we didn't have dessert. Let's not order dessert when we go to a restaurant. Let's not even serve dessert when you come over to my house. Please don't tempt me with foods as a reward or a gift. It used to be great when I got pizza coupons, but that's not the most thoughtful gift right now. Let's clear the table and put away the food as soon as the meal is over. Therefore, I'm not tempted to have bigger portions. I could really use help with the cooking and the shopping or the cleaning up after meals, especially that shopping piece, because if you're the one doing the grocery shopping for our household, remember, some of those snack foods in the snack aisle may not be the best choice right now. Please don't offer me second helpings. If I refuse, it's not that the food wasn't great. I'm trying to limit my portions right now. And another way that people in my life can support me is encouraging me to try new recipes and encouraging me to cook foods that I might not have cooked before. And make sure you're giving me all that positive reinforcement whenever you see me eating healthier foods. Take a few minutes now to think about who supports your goals or who would if you asked them to, and what could they do to help you. There are ways to stay motivated in this plan. Recognize the goals that you've already reached. What changes in your eating and/or activity level do you feel most proudest? Assess the positive changes that you've made. Look at how closer you are to your goal. Has there been weight loss? Increased energy? Do you have increased focus? Maybe your blood sugar levels are stable. Keep visible signs of your progress. Keep a chart of the pounds or the inches lost on the refrigerator door. You might even post a before and current picture of yourself beside it. Recognize the successes that you've had. Acknowledge them. Ask yourself, what was easier than you thought it would be? What was harder? Find some non-food ways to reward yourself if you meet a particular goal or a particular challenge. Maybe there's something that you will buy or someplace you would like to go if and only if you meet the goal. Remember our quote from our ancient Greek philosopher? People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Many times, our responses are the result of self-defeating beliefs or distorted thoughts. To overcome the effect they have on our choices, recognize them, dispute them, and learn to respond differently. hope that these strategies and techniques that we've talked about will assist you in developing a healthier lifestyle and in meeting the goals that you've set for yourself.